So my name is Dan Zadra. I was born in Seattle, Washington. My grandparents originally immigrated from Italy to the Silver Valley, and my grandfather came to Wallace, Idaho in about 1907, and my father was born there about a year later, about 2 years later actually. He sent for my grandmother, and she came across country all by herself to the Silver Valley, and they got married, and he worked in the mines up in Wallace for a while, so I just love this area. So to come back here every summer was what I always looked forward to, and I just always said, you know, someday I'm gonna live here. If I tell people in Seattle what it's like to live here, I'll say, well, it's so beautiful, and they'll say, well, Seattle's beautiful, which it is, and I'll say the pace of life here is different, and they'll think that means completely slow or uninteresting, and it's just the opposite. I think the pace of life is slower here, but people here are enjoying where they live. This is really different, and it's very calming for me. So I think I felt more creative here in the last year and a half than any place I've ever been. So I'm really enjoying it. It's so funny how life goes. You know, you wake up one day and you're 40 years old and you go, oh my God, I'm a tuba player or something, and it wasn't that way for me. I always, from when I was a little kid, I always wanted to teach. So I started off thinking I'm going to be a teacher, even when I was in grade school, high school, college. I knew I was going to be a teacher. I got to be a teacher. I started teaching, and I just didn't enjoy classroom teaching, and it was such a shock, really. And so I always could write. So I started writing, actually, just so I wouldn't have to bartend until I figured out what I would do. And writing, it turns out, writing is another, if you want it to be, writing is another way to teach. And so I really feel like, the kind of work I've done most through my life has been, I've written, over 100 children's books. I've written a lot of inspirational books, quote books, and it's all been, to me it's a form of teaching. It's not as important to me to be original as it is to find the best information I can possibly find out there and pass it on to people in a way that touches their hearts and touches their heads and inspires people to do what inspires them. So that really was the sort of the genesis of how I got into writing. I started writing, and I put a little note up on my board when I started writing. I walked by a McDonald's hamburger stand one day 35 years ago, and it said 1 billion hamburgers served. And it stuck in my mind. I went home and I said, if that guy, if Ray Kroc can come up with a vision of 1 billion hamburgers served, what could I do? And I wrote down up in the right corner of my whiteboard, 1 billion messages of hope and inspiration served. And we started making, some of the things that we do at my company is to create things called little window cards, which are little cards that open up with inspirational sayings in them and that can be passed from hand to hand and sent out. And those are, we last year or so, we passed the 1 billion card mark. So those cards are all over the world. They've been in children's hospitals and cancer wards and prison systems. They've been up in outer space with the astronauts. They've been at the bottom of the ocean with submarine crews on the top of Mount Everest. All over the place, but always of an inspirational nature. Just sort of focusing on the best parts of the human nature and the most hopeful parts of human nature, and celebrating the best of human nature.